Hi there. Thanks for tuning in to the Next Level podcast with me, Josh Eels, and my co-host Kabir Bubna. Today we'll be talking through our predictions for the 2021 season and the teams we think you should keep an eye out for.
Let's jump straight into our top six predictions. I want to start with number six, if that's okay. I think Tottenham Hotspurs. Jose Mourinho's squad, especially after watching the All or Nothing match, has shown that there's a lot of internal struggle, especially with injuries, coronavirus taking away a lot of the time of the squad. Jose Mourinho doesn't currently have the squad he wants, with not all the business being done. But, transfer window's just started and we have that till October 5th. So let's see what business Tottenham can do. I think Kane, always been there providing for Tottenham for the past couple of years. He has to do that again. Except I think this year he has to be a lot more clinical. Jose Mourinho plays a lot more defensive and less expressive style of football, a very less expressive brand of football as well. So I think from the 222 chances Kane had last year, he's not going to see the ball that much, especially when sharing it with an attacking pairing of Lucas Moura, Son, Dele Alli, and Ndombele, even so to speak. So that's why I think it allows Spurs to come nicely at six, get some Europa League action, maybe some FA Cup success. What about you?
So I've gone for either Spurs or Wolves in sixth place. I think similar to what you were saying regarding Spurs, I just don't think that they've got the strength and depth to be competing for the Champions League places. I know last season Kane missed a big chunk of the year and then their performance dipped sort of accordingly. And I think it could be a case of the same if Kane's not firing or he gets injured again, then they'll be struggling. But I think Wolves as well, they've looking like they're going to be strengthening through the transfer window and building on what the past 2 years, which have been really, really impressive for them. Between Spurs and Wolves for the sixth spot. And then for my second Europa League spot, I've gone for Chelsea. I think, it's an interesting one, isn't it?
That's a very, very interesting take. Why do you say Chelsea?
So obviously Lampard has had his first Premier League season last year chalked off and did pretty well, to be fair. And I think given the chance this year to strengthen in the window, which I predict that they will do, then there'll be a force going forward. Obviously they've got the experience into the young guys through the academy as well. Plus a few big signings means their squad will be really, really strong this year, I think.
I don't disagree with you there. I however, have Arsenal pinned to get another fifth spot appearance this year. They ended the season off amazingly last year with a good couple games and then winning the FA Cup and the Community Cup win against Liverpool, the current Premier League champions. However, it's hard to find consistency with Arsenal right now. And even though Arteta is doing his best to, create a new style of play and bring back the Arsenal we knew in the early 2000s and bring back that style of play, I think Arsenal still needs to find some consistency. And I feel like they're too reliant on Aubameyang. Again, holding out on Arsenal fans, it's a long-term project with Arteta. He's not a manager that's going to be sacked anytime soon, and he has the full backing of the board. He has the full backing of all the players as well. It's definitely different to the Unai Emery days. This is a long-term project with a high-potential squad. Fifth place is not bad, and I definitely think a deep FA Cup run or a deep Europa League run will be a successful season with a fifth-place finish.
See, it's interesting that you said that because I've gone for Arsenal to take fourth place, so the first Champions League spot. I think it's weird. Sometimes you get a sixth sense about teams, I think. And this year it just feels like something changed at Arsenal. Whatever that is, with obviously a few of their younger signings getting a lot more experience and getting calls up to the England team and their international squads. I think they'll be a good team this year, better than what they have been over the last 10 for me.
Again, at the end of the day, fourth and fifth for the past couple of years have always had that battle. It's always, for the past couple of years, it's always been Man City, Liverpool at the top, and then 3rd, 4th, 5th, a couple games, a couple points behind. So anywhere between 3rd and 5th it's always comes to. I think we got kind of lucky with our run of form at the end from the restart. Bruno Fernandes putting an absolute shift. Rashford, Martial are turning up. But now we have a whole season of where Bruno Fernandes has to prove himself again. This will finally show the mentality United will have, and I think this is the year Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can finally prove what the vision of this team is. Couple question marks though. Looking at United, getting Dean Henderson back from Sheffield United.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna have two great keepers fighting over one spot. So, who plays the majority of games? Does De Gea play? Does Dean Henderson play? And now we have, so many players in the way, consistent minutes. We're signing in the wrong places. I would have really liked to see United get another centre back to either replace Lindelof. I don't think Lindelof cuts it. I don't think Bailly is going to cut it. Bailly isn't Premier League material. He's too injury prone. He does well in the FA Cup, but I don't really see him getting consistent minutes outside that. Same. I could say the same with Lingard. McTominay is a good player, but again, still young, still unpolished. I really like the signing of Van de Beek, but I don't like how United have been playing and structuring. I think the 4-2-3-1 does not suit their play style. By having two CDMs, we're not our expressive selves. I would really like to see a 4-1-4-1 or a 4-1-2-3 with Pogba as a CDM, and then we have Van de Beek, Fernandes as our two, cams, attacking midfielders, really be expressive, really create those chances for Martial, Greenwood, Rashford to just score goals and kind of not just win the game by scoring more. Don't worry about keeping clean sheets, but just score as many goals and try and get our points that way.
Yeah, I think
coming to third, this is where our controversy comes. I could go on. Sorry.
It's okay. I was just going to build on the back of what you were saying about Man United. Then I think there's definitely a fear factor about them this season and towards the end of last year as well that they had in seasons gone by. Sort of talking under Fergie here. So 10 years ago now. See, gone quickly, hasn't it? But yeah. I think, especially with Greenwood coming through, it looks like he's going to be starting for England. Or for me, he'd be starting for England every game now. But I think what's really interesting there is who they'll go for between the sticks. And for me, I know it's going to sound controversial, this, but I'd go for Henderson. I
agree with you. I agree with you. One signing and not in the starting position. It just shows we're buying players and we're spending money, but there's no point in keeping things in the attic at this point. Out with the old and with the new. That's my philosophy. There's no point in buying things if you already have it. If you're buying things to replace stuff. If it's time to say goodbye to De Gea, it's time to say goodbye to De Gea. There's no easy way to put it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think there's any room.
Third, I have Chelsea.
Okay, yeah. Chelsea, that's an interesting one. Yeah, I can see why though. I can understand that completely.
Well, what is it, like 170 million plus spent in this transfer window after 2 seasons with not having to spend any money? I think great business as well. Havertz, Werner, Sarr, Chilwell, Thiago Silva, Ziyech. However, big red flag. Kepa, still at Chelsea.
Yeah.
Kepa is still at Chelsea. Maybe they should have signed Dean Henderson instead.
Yeah, that probably would have been a good signing for them, to be fair. I think if you look around the world, though, you think, if I'm a goalkeeper, why would I want to go and play at Chelsea behind a very leaky and very interchangeable back 4 or back 3? At the start of last year, I think Lampard had it really, really well with Tomori starting and who do you play alongside? Remember Christensen, I think. And I thought it was a really good pairing, but for whatever reason, Tomori fell out of favour and they just started shipping goals. And I think Alonso and Azpilicueta are both getting on a little bit as well, which I don't think is going to help any goalkeeper behind them. So for me, I think that's a bit of a recruitment issue for them there, because I don't think they'll be able to attract the type of goalkeeper that they need.
But maybe Chelsea United are going with the same philosophy as if we're going to win games by scoring more goals. They've already proven themselves of understanding how to use their academy players now, so squad depth isn't an issue. They've got great veterans on their bench with like Giroud. Pulisic now will more likely take a bench role, play more of a minute man, come on 65th, 70th minute, try and provide a spark off the bench. these players. So I think Chelsea are in a comfortable position to try different things, have different solutions to the same problem, and I'm looking forward to them scoring some exciting goals, play some exciting attacking football. Less of the negative football and a bit more positive. Top two. Are Liverpool going to do it again, Josh? What do you think?
I think I'm going to annoy a few of my close friends and my family here by saying I don't think Liverpool will cut the mustard this year. I think for me it's going to be Man City. Sorry to all you Liverpool fans out there, but I think Man City have just got better strength and depth, better squad depth. I know Liverpool gave a big chance to their youngsters last year in the Cup and towards the end of last year in the league when it was already done and dusted, but don't think that's quite as much quality given there as when you're comparing that to City's experienced players. And obviously, so far in the transfer window, neither of them have strengthened, apart from City bringing in Ake at the back. And I think that's a really, really good signing for them. And so that's something that for me, I think that's what prevented City winning or competing as much as they have done in previous years for the league last year. Just the state of their defence, because it was very, very bad last year. And I think Ake will add some much needed stability through the middle.
I mean, as much as it pains me to say it, the past couple of years, Man City and the word consistency, I think, go hand in hand. And they've just been such a consistent team with their players. Aguero bagging goals nearly every game. Sterling now finding some new confidence. You can count on him a lot of games now. You can definitely pin him to score in many of the fixtures and many of the matchups in the Prem. Kevin De Bruyne in, week out. The loss of David Silva, what will that mean? Does that mean Phil Foden now has to play more minutes? Does he has to mature quicker? Are we trying to look for a replacement?
No, I completely agree. I think Foden will be playing more of a crucial role this year. I think he'll be starting a lot more games rather than coming on or playing against teams that you'd expect Man City to be beaten. But I think who kind of went under the radar last year as compared to 2 seasons ago was Bernardo Silva. I think he's a real player to watch this year, coming in to replace David Silva and taking a lot of his minutes away. I think his creativity on the ball, his pace, sort of how nimble he is with his size as well. I think he'll fit in seamlessly, and maybe him and Foden could strike a partnership with De Bruyne as well, possibly.
But Liverpool second place, I think we both agree on that. Lack of squad depth, really, and an injury to either Salah, Mane, or Van Dijk could render their season null and void, really. I think without those 3 players, I know they have Trent Alexander-Arnold, Robbo, Henderson, Wijnaldum, Minamino now, Firmino. Everyone on their team is as a star player to an extent, but if you really think about it, Van Dijk, Salah, and Mane really carry the team. They're the pillars, and I don't know what Liverpool does without them.
I think, for me, what a really interesting point to make is that a Liverpool starting 11 players get into any team in the Premier League. I don't think you can argue with that. But I think if you look at their bench, does necessarily any of their bench players walk into another Premier League side? Arguably, yes, the lower ones, but for the top 10, probably not.
And noticeably, Liverpool so dominant over last season. The pressure of them to recreate that, after winning the Champions League, we see them bow out in the first elimination round against Atletico. Are they going to do the same in the Prem? And maybe teams have answers to Klopp's tactics, I don't see Klopp being too adjustable. He's played very, very similar football, and they've just done it very well, Liverpool play one or 2 ways, but they could just do it very well. I think teams now have answers to that after they've seen a whole season of dominance. So we're going to see how new teams, especially new teams, I think Leeds United, Fulham, West Brom, they're gonna bring new, different ways of playing to the Prem this year that might challenge our top 6 teams and challenge traditional football.
Quite possibly. I think what you can see possibly happening with Liverpool is what's happened to City over the past couple of years when sort of Liverpool knocked them off their perch. I think City might possibly knock Liverpool back off their perch. Sort of when City was so dominant under Guardiola a few years ago, teams were scared of playing against them and would literally just set up with 8 defenders for the game and try and hit them on the break. And
Yeah.
for me, as a coach, that probably wasn't the best way to play. It's the safest option, but it's not the bravest one. I think the braver options were more likely to return results.
For sure.
As you see, when City started to get knocked off their perch, that was when teams started to play football against them rather than just sitting off and letting City play their football. And for me as a football fan as well, that's what I'd like to see teams do against Liverpool, rather than just sitting off and letting them play their football, letting them press high up the pitch. Well, why don't you have a go at them? Press them high up.
Yeah, because realistically, if you're sitting off teams with the intensity and the skill of like Liverpool, Man City, even if you have 8 at the back, they're still going to score. Speaking of newer teams, shall we discuss West Brom, Fulham, Leeds United, our new introductions to the Prem?
Yeah, why not? I think Fulham, obviously, I'm a Newcastle fan, so seeing Mitro back in the Premier League is always nice. Bit of an old-fashioned centre forward, bit like Andy Carroll as well. Hopefully, he'll give some of the cuter teams like your Cities, your Liverpools, your Wolves something to think about, because it's got a completely different dimension. There's no other strikers like him in the league. But yeah,
a bit of a fun fact with Mitrovic: he scored 41% of Fulham's goals last season in the Championship.
Wow.
They also are haven't refined their playing style. They play possession football, much like Man City do, and they definitely like playing out the back. But with the likes of Man City, how they can press, with the likes of Liverpool, how they can press, I definitely see them getting nabbed in the back. You know, Arsenal with the pace of Lacazette, Aubameyang, you know, they're going to lose a lot of goals. They're going to concede a lot, so they have to strengthen there. They don't have much of a presence in their back four and in their back five. I think Mitrovic is the only standout player. So I picked them to come around 19th this season.
Yeah, I think that's where one of the other newbies for me, West Brom, will finish. Don't think, obviously they had Gale on loan, not last season, but the season before. He scored a massive chunk of their goals when they were in the playoff positions, but losing him and not really replacing someone of his quality is criminal, in my opinion. So I think they'll definitely struggle this year. They've got a few experienced defenders, Hanley, Gibbs, a couple others, but I just don't think that experience at the back is enough to compensate for the lack of goals that they'll be creating further up the field.
Yeah, speaking of West Brom, I have them 20th. I have them going straight back down. Congratulations to them of coming back up from the Champions League first, I'm asking. Great achievement. You know, they didn't spend too much time dilly-dallying. It took Fulham 2 seasons to come back up to the Prem. But Slaven Bilic, I think his time's over. I have them pinned as the first manager to get the sack this season. Not because I don't think he's a good manager. I just don't think he is the manager to keep West Brom at the Premier League level. And the business of being a manager in football is so ruthless. Mateus Pereira, great quality player, you know, amazing player. In last season, created 116 chances and registered 16 assists. Amazing stat there. Great playmaker, but again, not enough. Too little, too late, I think. But, you know, I'm all up for surprises. Maybe they scrape to 17th, but I have them pinned as 20th. Leeds United.
Great to have a club like that back in the Premier League, in my opinion. Great fan base, great stadium. I think you've seen a lot of clubs.
Arguably top 10 biggest club.
Possibly, I'm not too sure, but I think you've seen a lot of other smallish. You've seen a lot of other smallish clubs come out of the Championship and get promoted. But I think it's good to have
for sure,
not necessarily an old-fashioned club, but one that's been around at the highest level for quite a few years previous. Obviously dipped a bit over the last decade or so, but nice to have them back. And I think they'll do okay this year. Maybe 16th, 17th. I think they'll be safe, but I don't think it'll be easy. But because I think their manager is fantastic. I think he's really that sort of X factor there for them.
He's just so passionate. I mean, even when you watch him, he never sits down. He's like crouched right on the sideline, shouting, screaming every second of the game. The intensity he puts into coaching, he can really ask for 100% out of each Leeds United player. I think they're gonna emulate a very Sheffield United feel, where they're gonna surprise us, have their get their beginner's luck, so to speak, in the Prem and have a nice maybe anywhere between 10 and 12th place finish. Patrick Bamford, 16 goals from 143 shots. Not clinical. Definitely something that's going to need to be asked from him in the Prem. Only scoring 11% of your chances isn't enough, but maybe it's different in the Prem. I understand they have Rodrigo come in from Valencia. Great signing. I think he's going to bring a lot of experience, even though he hasn't had the greatest of seasons in his tenure at Valencia. Just good to have someone who's played in a top flight for a time. Calvin Phillips, again, amazing player, future star for England, hopefully.
Should we go for our ones to watch now?
I'm happy to throw out Brighton as our biggest surprise this season.
Yeah, I'd agree with you.
I just don't know. I just want to have some magic. Mope up top. Goals, since the restart, he's been valuable. They've created a lot of chances. They've seemed like a very dedicated squad. I'm happy to see them progress and maybe challenge our generic top 6, our generic top 8, give them their run for their money. I don't see them going above top 10, but I see them doing a lot better than they did last season, and they came 14th or 15th if I'm not mistaken last season. I see them making a considerable improvement on that.
Yeah, it was 15th place last year. I know you mentioned that striker there, but for me, I'd look at the other end of the pitch. I think they've got very solid back four, and with, I think it's Lamperty, the right back.
Yeah, young, 19 years old, I believe.
Yeah, I think he's very much deserving to be spoken about in the same circles with those who are in the England squad at the minute. Obviously, I don't think he's as good as Alexander-Arnold, but putting up against Wan-Bissaka and the likes of him, I think he's well up there, and I think he can offer some much-needed quality down that right flank for Brighton, up and down the pitch, up and down that flank as well.
What's your second one to watch, Josh?
I think my second one to watch here is Everton. Obviously, Ancelotti came at the end of last year, did okay coming in, but it's always hard coming in towards the end of a season, not with a squad of your players and being used to playing a different style, different shape. So I think obviously what is a very truncated pre-season, but it's still a pre-season that he's got to get to know his players better and hopefully strengthen, or from an Everton's fan point of view, hopefully strengthen in the transfer window as well. I think Calvert-Lewin showed glimpses last year of what could be a great centre-forward for England in years to come. So I think he'll be fantastic going up top. And then obviously they're Brazilian, Richarlison, not sure how to say it, but I think Everton and him are sort of synonymous with, when he plays well, tend to always come away with 3 points.
Yeah, and great signings. I mean, you have to mention obviously James Rodriguez played under Ancelotti at Real Madrid, Bayern, and now Everton. Ancelotti knows Rodriguez well. Signings to Decore and Allen as well has completely reshaped the midfield. So now we're not just watching the Sigurdsson special. Now we have more options in the midfield, giving them a bit more creativity, giving them a bit more aggressiveness. Again, I'm all about this positive football. I think a lot of our mid-table teams last season played very negative football. We're scared to challenge teams such as Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, even Chelsea. Our regular top sixes, and would play a lot of possession football. I want to see a lot more shots, a lot more attack, a lot more expression on the ball this season. And I think the side Everton has built now can do that successfully. Again, maybe not a top 6 finish, maybe not European football next season, but it wouldn't surprise me if they took games off our predictions from top 6 and play 7th, 8th. That would be a very good season for Everton, I think.
Yeah, I think they're looking at an 8th or 9th, 10th place finish there. 12th last year, not bad, but they've always been hovering around right in the middle of the table. But I think they'll improve by a few spots this year for sure. Another one to watch coming down the other end of the table. Not saying that they're necessarily going to be relegated, but I think they're being for a little bit of a scrap, will be Sheffield. I think post-lockdown they were found out a little bit. I think first or second game back, Newcastle put 4 or 5 past them, and that's with a Newcastle team that struggled for goals last year. Their expected goals, their XG, was 20th in the league, and to put 5 past Sheffield, I think says a lot about Sheffield's defence and frailties there. I
Yeah.
think they're much of a team that just kind of come at you and try and blow you out of the water, but there's not much behind that. I think it's very surface level performance.
My last ones to watch, I don't know if you have more, but Crystal Palace. Batshuayi loan finally feels at home at a club. Zaha, Townsend, all players of immense quality, and I think they've always been that dark horse in the Prem. Albeit they don't finish higher than 13th last season, I believe.
14th,
if I'm correct.
I think. 14th.
Yeah, 14th. So I think maybe not higher than that, but they're just going to have a lot of stunning results, and they're going to stun a lot of our top teams. Great counter-attacking football. They're going to really stretch the pitch, be ready to run, be ready to try and hold off Wilfried Zaha. Slop even, Townsend, all players who are creative with the ball can run at your defenders and love one-on-ones. So that's my take on them.
Yeah, I think especially with players like you've just mentioned there, coming in from wide and driving in towards the centre half and then the left or the right back, lends itself, and probably quite easy to predict, a lot of free kicks created and a lot of dead ball situations. And I think with someone as much quality as Milivojevic has, I think that's another area where they could be scoring a lot of goals from.
Yeah, I mean, those are our ones to watch. Shall we now confirm our relegations? Because I think we both agree that West Brom and Fulham are going to share 19th, 20th.
Yeah.
So that leaves one spot left, our 18th spot. Do you want to start? Do you want to kick us off with who we think is our last team?
Yeah, I don't think I'll be getting very many viewers from my close friends, because a couple of them would be quite upset with this. I'm going to predict West Ham to take the third relegation spot this year. Sorry, guys, but I just don't think you've been hanging on. It's been like watching a dying animal over the past few years.
But I mean, West Ham could stay up. Antonio, Declan Rice. Antonio, since the restart, scored 8 goals in 8 games. Maybe he can carry that form over. Declan Rice, but then again, it's the same squad. It's the same squad as last year. They scored 39 points. They managed to achieve 39 points last season, and every Premier League pundit says 40 points is safety. That's our predictions for our top 6 of relegation and our ones to watch for this episode. And thank you for watching. Hopefully you subscribe. If you didn't like it, tell us how we can improve. If you did like it, tell us what you liked and tell us your predictions down below. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.